All right, everybody. Welcome back to the shit show. Um, we have some fun guests with us today. Real quick, Lord, guide my words tonight. Help us do your will now and forever. Amen.
Amen.
All right, let's get this party started. Okay, I'm going to say this now, and then we're going to probably say it a couple of times going through the show. But if anybody has any questions, put them in the chat. If you want to make sure that I see them, Rumble Rant $1 or something like that. Keep in mind, these guys are going to give a first person perspective of what they've seen the day of the attempted Trump assassination in Butler. You know who I am, Stacks, YouTube, Rumble, and X. Drew, say hi.
What's up, world? Hope everybody's doing good out there.
All right. We're going to start with Dina. Dina, you want to say hello?
Hello, everyone.
This is also Dina's friend, and I just met for the first time, is Mike. Mike, say hello.
How's it going, everybody?
Great. Okay, your audio is pretty good now. All right. Here's what I'd like to try to do. Because I know that there's going to be a lot that we can probably just jump right into, but I want to try and keep it in order. So, Dina, you worked for the Trump campaign, right?
Correct. Volunteer, yes.
Volunteer. How long did you work for the Trump campaign, and when did it start?
I worked for a year and a half.
So when around that time did you actually get? Was it the very beginning?
No, it was right after I retired in June. Mixed up on what year it is. Was that 2023? What year was the election? 24?
Hmm?
Was the election 24?
Yeah. You know what's funny about that? I do the same thing. Sometimes I can't remember my birthday. I hate to admit that, but it's terrible. Sometimes I can't remember how old I am. I feel like I'm getting old timers.
I have to do the math to see how old I am now. So
One more thing is you guys will see comments pop up across the bottom. So, yes, 2024.
thank you.
Okay. JC. JC is an absolute legend. If anybody doesn't know, he's a great guy. Let's see. Patrick, how are you? Okay, listen, I can see some of you guys are filing in. If you have any questions as we go in or down this rabbit hole, put them in the chat. If you want to make sure that I see them, put $1 Rumble Rant or something in so I can make sure that I see them. But I'll try to keep note and keep going. All right. Where to begin? See, this is the thing. I'd like to be able to get an entire backstory, but I'm trying to keep it a little bit concise. So, all right, let's just. I have an idea. Let's try to do this. What I'm going to do is bring up one of the videos that you sent to me. If I can do this. On 1 minute. No? Dina, can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. I thought I told you this is the shit show. I thought the screen went blank for a second, and I didn't hear or see anything, and I was like, oh no. All right. I'm trying to bring up the video that you sent me of the day that it happened when the shooting happened. I wanted. Here's what I'm thinking. We'll backstep to some other stuff, but what would you? How many shots did you guys hear that day?
4 to 5.
I was gonna say probably about 5.
5.
Yeah.
Okay. Where would you say that they came from? All of them from the same position?
No.
Did it like if you could?
I feel like it came from different directions for sure.
Different directions.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I feel that
Dino?
I feel that they came from one direction. So
Okay.
you know.
See, I'm trying to be cautious here because I want you to tell your story, but I already know what some people may think. So, Mike, you think that there was probably multiple shooters in multiple directions. Is that what you're kind of getting at?
Yeah, I kind of believe. I believe in the theory of the water tower theory. I believe there was someone there because
Okay.
wasn't there was no Secret Service up there, and it was so close to where Trump was standing. So you would think like every roof would be covered with Secret Service.
Right. Sort of like Charlie Kirk. It would be the most viable position to take a sniper shot would probably be a rooftop, you know?
Yeah, and it always ends up being on the closest roof. So
Okay. Um, did you guys see the the sniper that they blamed for the shooting? Did you see him at all?
No,
no,
I did not.
No.
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 Okay. Let's just start from. I wanted to try and get that out there first. So let's just start from. I don't care who, Mike or Dina. It doesn't matter to me. Um, where when you guys were how many rows back from Trump? I know I seen the video. You were sort of front row ish. Um, you were there all day. You think did you see anything suspicious beforehand? Did you have any inkling that something was off?
Yeah, I had all types. I had all types of uh, feelings things were off because this. I went to like 15 of these rallies, and they're usually pretty secured, and you usually see like uh, all the Secret Service usually look like they're like got 20 years military in them, and these guys were pretty lanky, normal looking dudes, and in the front row, normal rallies, it's usually a clear path. This one was like all jumbled in. So whenever Trump, right before Trump got shot, I went to go use the restroom and I couldn't even get back to my seat. So I was a little bit farther back when it happened.
And where
So she
at that point, where were you, Dina? Were you in the seat that were you in the area Mike had left closer to the stage?
Yes. I just met Mike at the rally the night before we were up there and everybody slept in their cars. And that's how I met Mike and his group of friends. And when we piled into the seats, we took up like 3 rows. There was like 2 or 3 of us in all 3 rows because we all wanted to be right in the center, as close to, the center of where Trump was going to be speaking. So we were we were scattered through several different rows.
Okay. And Mike, when you were on your way to the bathroom as this was happening, how exactly approximately how far were you away from the seating area you had left on your way to the bathroom? Like 100 feet, 100 yards?
Probably a little more than 100 feet. Trump was looking pretty small at the time.
Okay. Good. All right. So when you heard, like when Dina heard, it sounded like the same, possibly the same shooter, the same 5 shots, and you felt like they might have been coming from different areas. You were obviously in two different spaces, the way the sound could travel within that area, just so people who are listening have a perspective of maybe how you heard things and how Mike heard things might have been, so different from being in a different area. Were they consecutive? Was like a quick like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or was it like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Like were they kind of like maybe there could have been an exchange, or did they sound like the same kind of gunshot, or did it sound like maybe that was a pistol and that was a high powered rifle, or any kind of take on any of that stuff?
Me personally, I'd say probably different, but it was a lot going on all at once. So I think there was like a lot of confusion. Nobody really knew.
Yeah, yeah.
Like in the front, Trump said everybody stood there and didn't move, but like back where I was at, there were some people dipping out, didn't know what was going on.
I want to say something to piggyback what Mike said. Okay, so this was my first Trump rally. Mike had been to several, but I've been to several different, concerts and different events. And you'll have sections of seating, and then you always have aisles, for people to get in and out. There's always, anywhere you go, there's, different aisles that you can get in and out. This one had owls, but right before Trump came on, they left all the people just pow into all of the areas that were owls originally. And they even, once everybody herded in, they actually put up fencing then. So everybody was, for the lack of a better word, trapped. And I noticed I had like a little bit of a funny feeling when I realized all the Secret Service were putting up all of the barriers and everybody was trapped. Like you couldn't get out and go to the bathroom then. You weren't free to move around unless you can climb through 10,000 people or whoever was there. But I did not feel comfortable because you were trapped.
Yeah, yeah. Their excuse would be, well, we don't want to let a potential shooter escape, but at the same time, they're also keeping innocent people in harm's way.
Correct.
Potentially, potentially.
Correct.
Got it.
And I also do want to say something at the beginning when, okay, so I got there the night before. Mike got there, I think, 2 nights before. Like I said, I just met him that morning. And there was a gate, there was only one entrance. There was a road and a gate to let you into the grounds. And then there were several other gates, that you had to go through. But at that gate, I think that was advertised, I think, Mike, the gates were supposed to open at 6 or 7 a.m. and they never opened. There was no security, no police officer, no one. So a bunch of people got out of their vehicles and they moved the chain and opened up the gates. And some people started to go in, and then other people came, and I don't know who these people were. They weren't anybody in authority, they weren't officers, Secret Service, anything like that. They came and shut the gate then. And then they told everybody they had to wait to get in. I don't know what their reasoning was. Remember, Mike, we had talked about because they were only letting
Yeah,
people go in that were volunteers then. But why was there no security at the only entrance to get into the Trump rally? There wasn't anybody.
yeah,
Nobody.
they
The whole time.
definitely lack
Mike and his.
service.
Oh, what did you say, Mike?
I
Okay.
said they were definitely lacking Secret Service. My father-in-law, he was even like telling me before while we were all sitting in line, pointing out how no one was these Secret Service weren't really searching the porter potties all like that, like they should. And he was sitting there like, man, Trump could get shot here. And then next thing you know,
Yeah, there was no security, no Secret Service, anybody, and so just layman, regular people were getting out of their vehicles and choosing who could go in and who couldn't go in, and then that's when I gave my chair to Mike, and Mike and his friends decided to just bypass the official gate and just go in like everybody else was doing, carrying chairs. And then I was going to bring my car up after the gate opened. But I thought that was important to say that there was no security for anybody getting in and out. You could have walked in with anything you wanted to walk in with. At that time, there was nobody there.
So
And
you guys were hold on, Drew. So you guys were volunteers, right, for this rally?
not
No,
that.
we signed up after that rally to be volunteers. And at this particular rally, we were not volunteers.
Okay. Okay. And from what you're saying, they were just in the beginning letting anybody in that wanted to get in without any kind of security, no checkpoints, no checking, no wands, no nothing that you would think the president is going to be here.
No,
We should
there was
ramp
nothing.
up the security.
Just to get up to the next gate, there was another gate you had to go through, and eventually, Secret Service did set up the metal detectors then. But to get up pretty close to where you were going, where the event was going to be held, the first gate, no security whatsoever. Never, not one person, not one even police officer was standing there, which I
You
thought was
guys,
very odd.
go ahead. Yeah, well, it sounds odd. And you guys, either together or individually, have been to multiple rallies. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Yes.
Was,
Since then, we became friends. We met there out in the parking lot, and we signed up, and we were volunteers. A whole bunch of rallies then.
okay, so what about before? Was this the first one you guys had gone to?
No, I've been to a good handful.
Okay, so before that, was security more tight?
Yeah, that's all the security guards looked like they had like 20 years military experience, all super jacked and stuff. And at this Butler rally, they were like, and it just felt weird because all the Secret Service was just like lanky guys and girls.
Second, if you can read this chat, I was reliably told that Trump's entire Secret Service detail was nothing but fat broads.
Yeah, right.
All right.
They're not the big
So
muscular guys that you would think would be there, you
right,
know.
right. So this is why I'm glad we kind of started here because this is what you hear a lot is that there was that like no real security. And so like I'm trying to because I've never been to a Trump rally, but um I guess the comparison between that one and the other ones is kind of important context. So you definitely this one was definitely lax compared to any other one that you had been to.
Yeah, and another thing is like I went there 2 days before, and I was the absolute first one there. Like for like almost a whole day, I was the only one there with my father-in-law, and we slept in the box truck. And they said that Thomas Crooks was scouting the place a couple days before, so that dude could have walked right by us, and I didn't see no Secret Service didn't try to kick us out. We were like driving by Trump's stage while they were setting it up, and nobody in a big box truck, and not one person questioned us. Like we could have like we
Question,
looked suspicious.
I'm sorry, I think I interrupted you.
Who, me?
Yeah.
It was kind of the same thing about if you were at prior Trump rallies, maybe earlier in the month or the previous month, and if you kind of saw a noticeable lax change in security, and you pretty much asked a similar question of where I was going to go with it.
Like
And
that,
also, I
you know.
wanted to say so for the second Butler rally, remember Trump came back then
Yeah.
and did the second rally. I was the lead volunteer for that particular rally. So got to go up the night before with Secret Service, and they took me on a golf cart and took me all around and showed me where everything was going to be, the layout, how things were, going to be. And I had mentioned several times to several different people about the aisles being blocked. I, made it clear we don't want the aisles blocked at this particular rally. And they all said to me, like, what do you mean? We would never block the rallies, the aisles. And I said, at the Butler shooting rally, all the aisles were blocked. Like nobody could have got out. I mean, you would have had to, one person at a time climbing over these barriers. And they all said to me they didn't know what I was talking about, that the aisles would have never been blocked. They were all blocked.
So somebody's either incompetent or lying.
Correct.
Yep.
Can I just ask you, do you think that the Secret Service was in on this somehow? And I asked that question because obviously these were not the top tier agents. And, Biden was president at the time. And I would assume that considering how crazy it kind of was at the time, that he kind of probably pulled the best security and maybe even said, stand back. I don't know. Would that be your suspicion from what you've seen?
I'm going to let
Yeah.
you answer that first, Mike.
Yeah, I definitely I think the whole system's against him. Like so I don't think he can really trust his Secret Service now.
Yeah, for them to give him Secret Service and maintain it, and then for that one incident at Butler change the manpower.
Yeah, and
It's
then
like the timing. Like, how did you pick that day to now give him the lower tier Secret Service agents? Like somebody had to know something was coming. I don't believe in that kind of coincidence.
yeah, I don't know for sure, don't quote me, but if I remember correctly, I think uh Biden sent his Secret Service to Kamala that day or someone like that, if I remember correctly.
I think I do remember that.
Like they pulled a Secret Service detail from that day and put it on like Kamal or someone like that.
Very convenient timing.
So, Dina, I guess you concur that like you think that they were pulled on purpose.
I think they were, I don't want to say second rate or brand new Secret Service, but they were people that I don't believe that had the experience to be at this big of an event.
Not the elite Secret Service you would
Right,
want
that's
to
the word I'm
protect.
looking for. Yes,
Yeah.
definitely wasn't the cream of the crop
Right.
elite. That's
Right.
for sure. I had even asked a lady about the when she was putting the barriers up because I'm an older woman. I use the bathroom maybe a little bit more often, and I even said, "How is someone going to get in and out to use the bathroom?" And she just ignored me, and I said, "Ma'am, how is somebody going to get in and out to go to the bathroom?" She said, "Not my problem."
And
Okay.
this was a woman with the Secret Service.
Yes.
Yeah.
She was under a tent. Like there was a
So,
tented area like between the stage and where the news was. There was a little I would say command post.
And that was her response to you, a volunteer for the campaign, not some random person walking by.
Well, I wasn't a volunteer at the time.
Oh,
This was my first rally. I started volunteering after the rally. I wanted to go to a rally and see what it was all about, and then I was very anxious. And Mike and I both, signed up along with one of our other friends to.
gotcha. Quite a reply to give about somebody who you want as a supporter for the person you're protecting, even though they're just told who to protect as the Secret Service. But yeah, that seems like quite a crappy reply to give somebody. Not my problem.
And I have to say, in addition to that, since you sort of brought up something a little bit, okay, so after you got up to the main gate, I guess you would say, I think it was the last gate, Nike, that you walked through for the metal detectors. This
Yeah.
is this is most likely nothing, but I still wanted to say it. So there was one agent that seemed, I would like to say, seemed to not like the Trump supporters. And he was very aggressive, rude, vocal. And I remember I even said to Mike or Will, one of them, like, I don't want to get stuck going into his line because it just apparently he did not like us. It's the best way I can put it. Well, he had made some comments to some people. Another Secret Service gentleman came out, said something to him, and he was removed from that area. Probably nothing. They probably just needed him in another area. It just seemed a little suspicious now that I know what, went on. And I just had a funny feeling about that. Like all day, it was funny feeling after funny feeling.
Yeah.
But,
And that was
you'd like to
odd to
think the
me.
Secret Service is there, you're safe. But
Apparently not.
yeah,
It baffles my mind. Like, if you're not a Trump supporter and you're obviously here to heckle, what are you doing here? And you're online heckling before the event even starts. You're looking for a problem. You're looking to antagonize. Is that a plant or is that just some weirdo citizen that we have plenty of apparently?
sure.
So yeah, that just probably added to making the hair on the back of your neck stand up. Like, this is
Yes,
not, not a good feeling. It's not all love here. Something's awry.
yes.
so my my question, we're gonna move it forward just a little bit, but was there anything just prior to when you heard the shots that kind of stuck out to you? Like, was there anything happening? Did you see the Secret Service maybe acting weird? Did you see the police maybe running in a certain direction? Did you see anything strange just before that? I've heard reports that they knew that he was on a roof and didn't stop the rally. So
He
did you see anything?
definitely looked like the dude that shot Thomas Crooks or whatever. It definitely looked like he was focusing in on something before all that. But like I said, I left right before Trump got shot, so I was pretty decent back far back.
Okay.
I was
What
I
about
was trying to find my seat. I couldn't get back. I couldn't get through the crowd.
Dina, anything that you can think of that would have stuck out that looked strange maybe?
Yeah, something that looked very strange to me. And I commented it to one of the guys I was with. I don't know if it was you, Mike, Will, or those two other guys we met there. But okay, so you have this building where, the shooter was. You had the other buildings. Well, I don't know, were they water towers or whatever they were? The Secret Service snipers came out and went on those buildings. Or were they water towers? Were they water towers or buildings, Mike?
No, they weren't on no water tower.
Okay,
That's
so they
why
were buildings. Okay.
there was a second shooter.
So I said immediately to my friends, where is the Secret Service snipers for the building that Crooks ended up to be on? Like I was just waiting, they were all coming out and I was waiting for them. And we just all commented among ourselves, like, where are those Secret Service? Where are those snipers? I mean, the building's right there. You'd have to be an idiot to, or as incompetent as you could possibly be, to not realize that building is clearly in the perimeter. By perimeter, to me, a perimeter is as far as an AK or something could shoot. That would have to establish the perimeter. And no,
And let me just say, in an open field,
yeah,
300 meters is a perimeter. So, like, that's very, very typical. Like, because usually that's where you're getting at the range where typical rifle rounds are going to start to deviate. You're going to have to actually know what you're doing. So I think you're right in the idea. I'll tell you, I drive by there almost every day. That road that goes by there, 422, I have to go that way to go to Ohio every day. And when I look over there from time to time, I think to myself, that's actually like a perfect spot to put somebody right in the middle of, and it's wide open, it's flat. Um, I mean, I'm sure that there's other places that could mimic that, but if it was me and I was actually trying to protect somebody important in the middle of that, I would have 2 to 3 guys on each roof, with no doubt. I don't care how much we have to spread anything else thin. There has to be 2 to 3 guys on each one of these roofs. It's very, if you're not familiar with the area, it's really flat. It's actually a fairgrounds that you do a lot of stuff on, and there's different outhouses all around it. And any one of those outhouses, regardless of where you're putting this target, is within viable range of a rifle round. So the fact that they didn't have at least one guy on every roof should be a giant red flag.
giant. And they said they sent Secret Service up a week in advance to establish the perimeter. I mean, all of us would know what the perimeter should be. So, how do trained Secret Service not know that?
Yeah, even should have been on the houses.
Okay. So here's what I'd like to do. I want to get what you've seen, when the shots were going on. And then after we get through that explanation, I'm going to start to present some of the arguments from the conspiracy circle people. So buckle up. So you tell me, how it went. When you were Mike, you were back further, which maybe should have probably given you a little bit more of a bird's eye view.
Yeah.
And Dina, you were a little bit closer. Dina, do you want to tell me what you seen as the shots started to ring out? What you were closer to the front. Now we said that something looked suspicious leading up to it. Now, what did you see? You looked around maybe and said, "This looks weird," and then a few seconds later there was some shots. Is that sort of how it went down?
Yeah, well, before Trump even came out, I was saying how weird it was that that building didn't have the snipers on it. I mean, that just seemed so bizarre. And it made me a little nervous. And I remember looking all around. I was looking all around then because it was just giving me some kind of strange feeling. But then once he came out, I felt, much calmer and, was watching them and, recording them. And then I had my phone. I think I sent you the 28 or something second video
Yeah.
um, where I had my phone and I was recording. And then I turned around and I was recording the whole crowd. And when I was back here like this is when I heard the shots ring out. And I remember turning around, and I think you could hear me in the video I sent you saying, hit the ground. telling people to hit the ground, I immediately recognized it as being, shots being fired. And I hit the ground, and oddly enough, not too many other people hit the ground. Like everybody was like instead leaning or lunging forward, like they had to help Trump, or, is Trump okay? Not a lot went to the ground. Probably 20% of the people went to the ground. And I don't know where you were at that point, Mike. Did you hit the ground, or where? I don't know where you were.
I hit the ground. I was making my way back to my seat, and I couldn't get back there because whenever I left where Trump went to get when they took Trump in the Secret Service, I had to after he got shot. That's the way I had to walk to get to the bathroom. So by the time I was getting back, I heard the shots, and everybody just kind of froze. I seen Trump touch his ear, and then next thing you know, he's started doing the fist pump, and the people in the back all started running to their cars, and I went back to the car because I couldn't I couldn't find anybody, so I just went back to the car. Really,
Interesting. Okay. As you're talking, I'm trying to figure out a way to bring up that video that you sent me.
Sure.
Hang
And I
on one
do want to
second.
say right after the shooting, like after they took Trump away, I remember, and I thought I had some pictures to send you. I know I had them somewhere, but I couldn't find them to send you. Jason, a bunch of the crowd. Am I still on here?
Just trying. You
Oh,
can
you
talk.
can
Go
hear
ahead.
me? Okay.
Yeah, we can hear your audio. If
Okay.
Stacks, if you're going to play this video when she's done talking, first hit that little microphone button at the bottom right corner because it's going to come up with no audio when you hit play.
What you mean?
See the black screen where on the bottom it says 00.48 seconds long in the right corner.
Never mind. I got you.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Give me a second. Let's see if we can get this to play.
Sure.
That was the lowest point, and that comes right from the government services, comes right out of Border Patrol. Take a look at that. So that arrow is the lowest amount of illegal.
All right. I apologize. I sent that to Drew earlier, and I don't know why it's not playing now. Either way,
I didn't get it either. I didn't receive.
I sent it to you on X.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got to check that.
Anyway, sorry. This is why it's the shit show. See, I tried to warn you. So, all right. Let me just recap. Mike, what did you see yourself? For standing from where you were, and you may have just said that, but as I was doing this, I was trying to. I just didn't quite hear everything. So, what did you see yourself whenever the shots started to ring out? People running, people screaming, obviously, but did you see any law enforcement or Secret Service doing anything at all?
no, I seen what happened on stage. Only it looked like whenever it first happened, it looked like Trump was like hitting a bug or something.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I was just confused, and then I seen the Secret Service running up on stage, and then I kind of could figure out from there. And yeah, everybody was just running back to their cars. It looked like and crying.
Question from the chat. Did the audience's reaction to Trump being shot seem unusual? You would think with everyone panicking, right?
Yeah, I mean, surprisingly, I didn't think there was going to be like any more people getting. I mean, there was other people getting shot, but if they really wanted to, they could have been a mass shooting. But I think like just like Charlie Kirk, they went there for the target, and that was it.
And the from wherever the shots supposedly came from was far enough away for it not to be this jarring concussive bang to the crowd, more so like a faint pop coming from the distance and the rounds kind of cutting through the air as they were going towards Trump. It wasn't like a shooter in the crowd. Everybody would have reacted differently.
Yeah, if they really wanted to, they could have mowed down a bunch of Trump supporters.
Yeah, because we
What
were
do you
locked
And
in
then
and couldn't get
same
out.
thing for Charlie Kirk, they could have mowed down the whole college campus.
think what he's maybe trying to ask is, did it sound like the shot was from a far distance? Did it sound like it was very far away, or did it sound like it was close?
From my understanding, it sounded pretty far away.
And would you say the same thing? It sounded like it was far?
Decently far. I mean, not down the road, but
but
decently far.
nothing close enough where you would jump from how loud it was because it was far enough away to
Yeah,
get your attention, but not like, oh wow, that's like within 100 feet.
yeah, no.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't move or do anything like till the shots were done and people started hollering. I
And
think a lot
realize
of
it
people
happened.
did not realize. I mean, unless you go to the range maybe and you hear, these different, firearms going off, maybe you didn't realize. Maybe that's why when I was saying hit the ground, a lot of people didn't hit the ground. I don't know, but
Here's what I'll say. In an open area like that, they say he was about 150 to 200 yards away, which, for whatever it's worth, you do need to know what you're doing with a rifle that you have to make a decent shot at that distance. Now, if it's just, the side of a barn, that's one thing, but 150 to 200 yards is not. I mean, it's not far. It's not far, far, but it's far enough that you would have to know what you're doing. That said, the crack that came from 150 to 200 yards isn't really quite as intense as some people might think. Um, Drew, what do you think? Like, 150, 200 yards, you hear maybe a 5.56 go off. I don't think. I mean, I think you're going to hear a crack, but I don't think. I don't think it's going to be anything too crazy.
I mean, I recall at one point many years ago, the sound of a shot from when you're behind a rifle, or if you're in line with somebody else shooting a rifle off to the side, or if you're in front of it, 100 to 200 yards in front of it, is going to three completely different sounds. I feel like it is very possible, especially with the open space. It's not like in a narrow field. It's all wide open. It could very much sound like somebody throwing firecrack poppers up on a roof where you may just barely get your attention. There's so many factors, so I feel like it could be interpreted either way. If you know what you're listening for and you're very familiar with it, because if I'm 200 away from a shooter and the rifle's pointed my direction off to the side, so the crack is going to happen way over there. The way I hear it, if I move 15, 20 feet off to the side, it's going to sound different to me. There's too many variables, but I wouldn't be shocked that not everybody hit the ground and maybe didn't realize what it was. And then I would also agree that some people who may have been sitting on the right side of the field and on different seating, the way the air and the wind traveled and the way it cut through the air, it might have sounded different, louder, closer, farther, from a different perspective within the same circumference. So it could, yeah, there's really no science for that. I couldn't definitively say.
So, because the reason why I bring that point up is because a lot of people are very suspicious that there was actually still people cheering when the shot started to go off, meaning that they didn't hear it, right? So, I mean, I think it's a valid point, and it's where some people try to lean towards that the shots were not only coming from him. I believe he shot from where he was. Um, if that's true. But I mean, there's a good chance that if there was another shooter, they would have been further away on another rooftop in another direction. Where once you hear those ones go off, everyone's attention goes there. That would give you an opportunity to shoot from the other way. Um, Here's what I mean, because conspiracy corner's coming up, just so you know. So, is there anything else that you would want to say about what you've seen that day? Is there, I mean, try to get it, whatever you think you might want to add about what you've seen that day that was either weird or off or anything along those lines.
Definitely the flag tangling up like the crucifix. That was kind of odd.
Going to get to that actually, but yeah. Dina, is there anything that stands out to you that you would have said was too strange, something that, I mean, I know we said a bunch of things already about the lax security and everything, but is there anything else that you can think of that would have stood out to you that we haven't mentioned yet?
Yes, two quick things. One, after the shots and this, you seen the all the videos where like I guess it was four or five Secret Service came up on up on Trump. One, I guess Secret Service, or police officer, I'm not quite sure. Secret Service officer came up on the stage, with his, big rifle and, was looking around. I would think that the whole stage would have been covered at this point. I would think 5 or 10 Secret Service men, that were armed with rifles. I would think the whole stage would have been, all in front of Trump. Um, Only one. I only seen, maybe you've seen more than that, Mike, but I seen one, and he stated at the corner, like Trump's here, the main action is here, and one at the end of the stage, was there with his, weapon, looking all around as, would be his job. But I just thought that was so weird. Why only one? Like a shooting just happened.
Even like
One?
the the moment was awesome, best moment in history for the fist pump. But like you would think like they wouldn't even let Trump have a chance to do that.
To stand up and put himself back up in the potential firing line if there was still an active shooter.
Yeah, but they let him like do the iconic fist bump and stuff. So it's like
So
kind of seems weird.
my question now is, in hindsight, having all this time after the fact to digest it and hear all these things and see what the news had reported initially and kind of where they at, can you look back at any of that right now and say that actually, from everything of like the one Secret Service guy with the one rifle on the one corner and not kind of flooding him and letting him get back up to head level and not completely shielding him the whole way out, do you feel like that might have been, or the possibility that it's like, okay, it kind of now feels like it was a show, like some type of scripted, this is how they kind of knew something was gonna happen? Or does it still seem like organic and that's just sloppy?
Yeah, it's hard to say because I definitely think they're not giving us the full story, but I think it's more something spiritual, honestly.
Nice. Nice. Okay. I want to hear about this. Tell me about how you think it's spiritual.
Because I came to the Trump movement because I had a hardcore spiritual awakening, and I just feel like this is way more than politics. I think Trump's taken down the new world order and bringing us to the gold standard, and they're gonna bring out all this technology that makes us live a long time, and they're trying to kill him before he can do it.
So Q, is that what you're getting at? You're a Q.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could say that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I definitely
Um.
believe a lot of that stuff.
Okay. Um. Well, for whatever it's worth, the conspiracy theories that, I mean, that put a dollar in the jar for that one should be overflowing at this point. Um. Have you? I have to ask you: are either one of you aware of the Epstein files and what they are and what was in them?
Yeah,
Yes.
You are.
yeah.
Okay, Dina, you are as well, right? You know how dark it all is.
Oh, yes.
More than
Okay.
that was.
I have to ask that question because I was shocked. I got my taxes done like 2 days ago, and a lady in a tax office, we were talking about something else, and somehow that name came up, and she was like, "Yeah, I think I might have heard that name before." And I was like, "Ho ho, time out.
They?
You don't know what this is?" I was like, "I don't want to ruin your whole reality, but like, all the stuff that most people said were crazy, like Pizzagate and Satanists running the country and, eating babies and, child sex trafficking, like that was real." And they didn't know. So now I'm making it a habit to go around and kind of gauge the people that are around to see how many people are actually clued in, because I'm actually surprised that anybody doesn't know I don't even know how you wouldn't know unless you like live in a cave or something. I don't know how you wouldn't have known. Even leading all the way up to this, his name was infamous in places for anybody. Like, if you, whether you're left, right, center, it doesn't matter. You've heard that name and you know what that name entails. So, yeah, going forward, I'm going to be asking a lot of different people if they even just heard of it, just so I can kind of get a metric to see how many people are actually tuned in. Because I was shocked. What do you mean you don't know? I'm like, I here's what I'm going to tell. Here's what I told her. I said, if you go and look into this, it's going to change how you perceive reality because it's extremely dark. So, like, just a heads up. So we're gonna take a turn, unless there's anything you guys want to add about what you've seen. And I'm going to present to you some of the conspiracy arguments about what some people uh, say may have happened. Uh, this person says, "I trust Q with my life." What do you think about that?
Yeah, I do.
Um, okay. So I have to preface this with saying, uh, don't get over invested. You may hear things that like you don't like. So I'm just saying this to get a perspective from somebody that probably haven't heard it before. Okay. Um, there is the running theory that the Thomas Crooks was probably set up, and whether or not he actually shot any shots himself is sort of the gray area. Some people say he did, some people say he didn't. They don't, there's no really defined line there. However, the one of the more prevalent theories is that it was staged, that there was actually shots done, people actually died. Some people believe none of that is true, which is a little far fetched for me to even try to consider. But because this is why the Epstein files are kind of important, where they will manipulate you. And when I mean they, I mean the people that are pulling the strings that we're now slowly becoming aware of. Some people are slowly becoming aware of about how the world actually works. That there's not everything is as you perceived it, right? How many times did they tell you that the Pizzagate thing was fake? How many times did they tell you that like all this other stuff that's coming out in these files were that's crazy conspiracy theory talk? And how many people said the vaccines were fucking great, right? You know what I'm saying? So like we see high level manipulation coming from what a lot of people would consider authoritative sources. So it's hard for a lot of people to digest some of the stuff that I may say. That said, that it was set up and that Trump had a past in the WWF back then, and that even then they take razors, put them in their hand, and they cut themselves to draw blood. And that is where the blood from his ear actually came from. That there wasn't a bullet that grazed him, that he wasn't that lucky, that it was set up that way, and that there were people that were in the audience that paid the price that day to set up this photo op with the iconic fist in the air. And some of the reasons why people would say something like that is because of all the things that you said as far as security leading up to it, where it was sort of, lax in the way where they can get this sort of patsy, this Thomas Crooks on the roof to be the one to blame. They put him in a position. We know that the intelligence agencies, which at that time were controlled and everybody hated Trump. You kind of said so when you were talking about the some of the Secret Service guys and how they looked at Trump and how they looked at Trump supporters. They would intentionally do things to sway the populace into believing or disbelieving certain things. And when you kind of step back from whether or not you like Trump, dislike Trump, but look at the picture and how many holes are in it. And it's the same thing that goes along with the Charlie Kirk story, that, there's what we're being presented as the official narrative has holes in it that doesn't make sense, and they're not telling you anything that makes it make sense. Now, when you get shot at, like I put myself in those positions, I just got shot in the ear, which a lot of people say there's not even evidence other than the blood for that. Do you stop and get your shoe? Right? Like, because that was something that people point out where they go, like, he just they didn't have this guy yet. They don't know how many people are shooting. When you look at it in the moment, you're running for president. You're a very important person. They're trying to bury you, um, figuratively and literally at this point. And you're not really in fear for your life. You're now surrounded by, as the commenter said, a um, subpar security force made up of primarily fat older women, and they're trying to rush you off the stage after a bullet just allegedly runs by your ear. Which another thing is if a 5.56 trails past your ear at that speed, close enough for it to tip your ear, there's a lot of evidence to suggest that it would do a lot of damage to the eardrum, let alone just close enough to hit the ear. And then you stop and say, wait, 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 let me get my shoe. And they grab his shoe, and then he does the photo op. And, like you said, the flags and the background thing, right? Now, when you look at it from that perspective, just hearing what I said, and there's actually more details for this kind of theory, but when you hear it from that perspective, from what I just said, does any of that sound feasible to either one of you? Because when I look at it, if it was me, and I just had a bullet whiz by my ear close enough to clip me and draw blood, I am not worried about my clothes. And I'm not arguing for or against this. I'm just pointing this out. I don't want you to think that I'm arguing for this. I'm just pointing out what the prevalent theory is against the narrative. Um, would you stop and get your shoe? Would you stop for a photo? Would you put your arm up? The scene is not contained yet, and they're shooting at you. Do you stop to do these things? Does that make sense? Is what I'm saying to you, does it sound woo woo weird, or does it make any sense at all? Dina, why don't you tell me what you think?
Well, everybody responds completely different to a traumatic situation. You might do one thing, I might do something else. So I don't really want to put myself into Trump's position to see if he should be worried about his shoe, if that's a normal response or not a normal response. Um, Knowing him or not knowing him, I don't know. I can see that both things are feasible, and I'm not really quite sure what to say about
I get
it.
it. I get it. Because, especially, have you ever heard this argument before? That should be the
Because
first thing. Have you ever heard anybody say this before?
yes,
Oh,
not
okay.
maybe exactly the way you said it, though. Maybe just some of the stuff that you said.
Okay.
But
All right.
like knowing everybody acts completely different. I mean, I hit the ground. I hollered for people to hit the ground. Other people were everybody was doing something different. So I don't think you can ever fault or anything on the way somebody reacts to a traumatizing situation. I mean, we all know Trump is somewhat of a badass or whatever. I mean, for him to stand up and do the fight, fight, fight. I mean, he was in shock, so you don't know how he would respond to it. Plus, I'm sure he was angry. I mean, people just shot at him.
That's
You
fair.
know.
What I'm trying to do is gauge your actual reaction to hearing something that may be against what you consider to be the narrative that you believe. So, with
Yeah,
that said,
yeah. Oh, go on.
I'm sorry. Unless you have something you want to add, because I'm curious to hear what Mike has to say about what I just presented.
Done.
Mike.
All right, me now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well,
Tell me what you think. Is that crazy stuff or what?
it's not crazy to me at all, but because tying into Charlie Kirk, I definitely don't. I definitely think that was AI, and he was exposing some certain people a couple weeks leading up to it, and uh, I definitely believe the military be putting holograms and out there like that. So we don't we don't know if that was like maybe Trump was in danger and they put that out there because I remember one other thing that was weird about that day is it was CNN's first Trump rally they ever attended, and it
That's
happened to
strange.
be that one. So Yeah, it doesn't sound too crazy to me because I think we've been being deceived with AI since before we were born.
I was expecting a more of a different reaction from you. I was thinking you were going to say, "Oh hell no, 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 no."
No, I mean sometimes part of me thinks like they might have like took him out of the story, and then some part of me thinks that we haven't seen Trump since Butler. So
Oh, so this is a different Trump, or Trump is in
that,
hiding.
that's what I'm saying. Like part of me thinks that was the last time we seen Trump.
Hmm.
Okay, fair
Like it was
enough.
divine intervention. I seen that flag. Whether I seen what the flag did, and I looked at my father-in-law, and it's like, and we were like, dudes, people are gonna say that's a sign from God, and that was 10 minutes before Trump even came on stage. So part of me thinks it was divine intervention, but yeah, it's hard to say, but I definitely think a lot of the stuff we see is fake to get
See
it.
the legend. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. JC the legend here said quite a few people mentioned seeing someone at the water tower. It's been a while since he looked into it, but did you see anybody at the water tower? Did you meet anybody that said they seen somebody at the water tower?
No, not that I seen anyone in the water tower. I didn't see no Secret Service in the water tower. That's what made me suspicious, because that was the highest spot, and that's what made like whenever I got home and I started looking online and all this stuff. That's what I started to come to a conclusion that I think there was a water. I think there was a shooter in the water tower. I seen pictures online that makes me think like there was some, but it was like a blurry picture, so can't really say.
Enough.
I did
Tina, do
not
you?
see
Oh, go
anybody.
ahead. Yeah,
I
go
didn't
ahead. I was just going
see
to ask you if you had anything to add.
anybody. I see. I know what you're thinking there, Jason. Get out of here. I did not see anybody at the water tower, and I was looking around the water tower, the building. I was looking all day pretty much off and on. Just a little backdrop. I wanted my husband to go to the rally with me. He told me I was crazy to go to the rally. He's like, "You're going
Yeah,
to put yourself in a position with thousands and thousands of people when you know it's not safe." And he said, "And you know people are after Trump." I'm like, "Oh, I'll be fine. I'll be fine." But once I got there, and a couple different things, the gate not being manned, which was the strangest thing. I thought a whole bunch of police would be at that gate. That was the strangest thing. And then when they started blocking the owls in, I just was looking around pretty much every few minutes. I was a little paranoid maybe at that time. So I did not see anybody, to answer your question, on the water tower or the building in question. I was looking there too, and I never seen anybody.
you feel a bit like a fish in a barrel.
Definitely. Definitely.
Okay,
Did you
okay.
did you have any moment in that time when you were kind of like feeling that paranoia, where you said to yourself, like in the back of your mind, like, "Shit, I should have listened to my husband."
You want me to say on the live that I should have listened to my husband? Come on now. No, no, not really. I was just a little bit paranoid off and on all day, and then I remember my husband saying, "All those trees around, anybody can be in one of those trees. You know, a tree stand in any of those trees." And so I do remember looking around much more and being a little bit more uncomfortable than I normally would. Um, and I do want to add, Mike and I had talked about that flag when the flag twisted up or whatever. It's just my own belief, whether people believe it or not. I'm not a very, I don't want to say not a very religious person. I obviously believe in God, but not, and wasn't going to church, praying every day, things of that nature. But when I saw Trump, I mean, Trump turned his head at that exact moment, in my opinion, to save his life. I think it was nothing short of a miracle. I mean, that's just my belief, and
Mm.
Fair enough.
it's got me praying like every day now, and so
Good.
I mean, it's
Miracle, and
fair
I
enough
actually got
for
to be
any.
the person that witnessed a miracle. That's a
Right,
big thing.
right, right.
That was
I mean, let me just add. So it's fair enough for anybody's perspective to be what it is. What is what I can kind of see that kind of makes some people, I guess, when you're so ingrained in that belief. So like, you believe what you've seen was 100% true and you will not hear anything different. And if anybody suggests anything different, then you get angry. Those are the types of things that kind of bother me. But the fact that you're able to have your belief on what you know you saw and how you believe it went down, perfectly acceptable to myself and hopefully to anybody else that is listening. Um, what I'm trying to do is just present the arguments that a lot of people kind of they weren't there. That's why these types of interviews are sort of important because when you just see it on the screen or you just see it on the internet and then you kind of put some things together and you build your own theory off of it, this just kind of helps to, you know, cement or maybe push some people around in other directions. Not hearing different perspectives is important. And, just being able to hear one that you didn't necessarily know or even agree with and not start yelling, right? Because this happens. Like people, no, 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 no. What are you crazy or blah, blah, blah. So, um, my point is that that's why I thought that this particular interview might be fun for a couple different people and a couple different perspectives to kind of see how you've seen what you've seen. Maybe it plays into a role of what somebody else thinks about what they thought happened. Now, without a doubt, there will be people that see this interview and say you're an actor, both of you, because that's just the nature of the internet. That's how it works. You were a plant or you were. This is just how it works. So like while the theory that I presented you is it to me it's just as viable with the all the evidence that we have as it was just a pure miracle and he got lucky. Like to me it's like a 50-50. I don't know. I'm always an I don't knower. I just kind of take all the information and as information comes in I adjust what I think I know. When it comes to this particular thing, there's a lot of very strange things that it doesn't add up. And that's what tells me something's wrong. Now, what that wrong is, I don't know. I don't know for sure. I have ideas, but I don't know. And as time goes on, maybe those ideas would change. But there's no way that something nefarious didn't happen that day, no matter how you see it, no matter what side you're on, no matter what it is that you perceive, something really fucked up happened that day. And that's why a lot of people look at it through these different lenses because it doesn't make any sense. There should be security everywhere. They should be top notch security, right? There shouldn't be a roof without a single guy on it with a rifle to make sure. That's just the nature of how this is always done. Um, and when it comes to Thomas Crooks, there's a lot of crazy stuff. I don't want to get into his whole backstory, but there's a lot of crazy stuff that's with him as well, right? So like this is why I'm saying it's just another perspective, just another thing for somebody to kind of build their own theory off of, right? So just to be clear, Dina thinks it was somewhat of a miracle, if not a miracle, which if that brings you closer to God, great. Because we on this show and with me, we look at things through a biblical lens. And through that biblical lens, there's a lot of stuff that I could tell you about that I'm sure you've never heard before. So if that's what it takes for you to get closer to God, I'm all for it. Mike, on the other hand, I don't know exactly where he stands with a lot of it. He wasn't very mad about the argument that I presented, and so it begs the question that I have been wanting to ask. Um, do you have Trump tattooed on you?
yeah,
You do.
yeah. I got the
Where?
Jason pic. You want to see it?
Sure. Why did you feel the need to get Trump tattooed on you? Like, was it just something you did?
Yeah, he's iconic, and he's taking down the new world order.
That's
Fight.
fantastic. That is fantastic.
I'm
Okay.
not mad at that at all.
One of the
I I think it's great.
To understand.
All right.
Can I say what my perspective is, though, Jason? Other
Sure,
than
absolutely. Whatever you want. Go ahead.
so, my perspective. I mean, I think a miracle happened. That is why Trump was saved that day. But I think the whole shooting was allowed to happen. If anybody wants my opinion is the Biden administration sent the second string, so to speak, if there is such a thing for Secret Service. Maybe there should have been 100 top, very knowledgeable, experienced officers or agents, and I think they sent 50. I think they sent half the amount they should have, and they were second string, if you know what I mean by second string. Does that sound right?
Yes.
They weren't
Yeah.
experienced. Nobody set up the perimeter. Like it was a setup as far as Biden's administration set it up in not sending the A team that they should have sent in an outdoor event. I mean, an outdoor event, anybody should know, is much more susceptible to something going down than an indoor event because you can't control what's going on outdoors.
Yeah.
And it was intentionally set up that way.
And like you said before, Dina, like when you were walking around and you were kind of looking around like, wow, there should be more security at that. There's no security at that gate and they should have maybe more people here. These are things regular common sense people are saying that don't have Secret Service training, even as a second or third tier operator. So for you to say it as a civilian with not this military type experience, any member of Secret Service should have known that. And again, if a lot of them there were not in support of Trump and didn't care for Trump supporters, it seems more intentional than just them not being properly trained. Because I don't need the training to say that to myself when
Sure.
I'm kind of know what we're involved with at these rallies. That's just common sense.
Agreed.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. And this isn't the only story. This is story after story that we could point at where I could show you why people don't buy the narrative, right? There's just holes in the entire plot line that you're given as an official narrative. And that just makes people do their own research, which is a good thing, and come up with their own theory about why it happened and how it happened. So, you know, it's a terrible place to be in a society when this is the way I view it. If the government says it, it's not true, and you should not believe that part of it. Now, there may be droplets of truth in there, but I'm telling you that's not the truth because they never come out and tell you the truth. They never do. I can't point to one time that in my lifetime, when they have come out and made an official statement and it's been the absolute truth. So, that's why we're here, though. That's what this is, and it's the bigger picture when you step back is these theories, these outlooks, these situations. We're here because the government can't be trusted. They just don't. They can't. I mean, honest to God, just since COVID, and even before that, it's lie after lie after lie after lie, and the entire time they're raiding the Treasury. So, I mean, again, we're in a spot now where I'm very curious, given everything that we just said. How do you guys feel about Trump today? Like, do you think he's done well? Do you think he's done bad? Dina, what do you think? Is he still good in your book, or how do you feel about him today?
Yes, he's still good. I mean, nobody's 100%. They're not going to do 100% the way the things you want. But I'm very happy with him. I mean, I think the guy works 23 hours a day. I don't know when he sleeps. He's worked as hard for, fighting for us Americans, that he can possibly do. I mean, he has the whole, half of the Senate, all the Democrats against him. So he's having to fight a really hard fight for us every day. And I'm very pleased with him.
Mike, how do you feel about him today? And to further put a point on that, I'm very curious. You've said a lot of things that I have to. What do you think is happening right now, dude? Like, are you happy with him? And what do you think is happening right now? Like Trump is a
Uh,
hologram, or where are you at?
I think we're living in a military sting operation that's been going on for 20 years. I think we are kind of born into it. I think this is very spiritual, and I think most of the people, I definitely fall into the Q theories, and I think most of these people have been dead for a while, and we're just watching America fall so we can get into this one world government. In my opinion, uh, I think it's the new Earth if you look at it from a biblical stance, because I think we're gonna live a long time, and one of these days coming up, I think the military will get on TV and tell us the truth.
I need you to expand on that. With the where's Trump right now? Like, do you have a theory? Is Trump
I,
operating from the White House? Because it
no,
sounds like you're saying a couple different things, and I'm not quite sure how to follow it.
I think Trump's in a bunker somewhere. They're using body doubles and stuff.
Okay, because his life's in jeopardy. Is that what you
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Okay,
I
okay.
think the same with Charlie Kirk.
Charlie Kirk's alive too.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Too many
Uh,
questions. Like I see too many videos. Like with Charlie Kirk, his ring switched fingers, and like the one video I seen the chair going through the table, and it's just things like that. You gotta ask yourself, and just how weird Erica Kirk's acting, and like he's nothing makes sense. So I just assume it's all fake. The only thing they don't talk about is they don't talk about us going into a new financial system, which is pretty clear, and they don't talk about how we're gonna have all this cool technology coming out. So I feel like that's the important stuff that people should watch.
Chew a couple of things for sure. The monetary system is collapsing. I don't know what they're going to do to kind of replace it because you can't do what you're doing on any level and it not have some kind of reset involved, if you know what I mean. I will say too with the Charlie Kirk thing, that is another perfect. It's not, you're not being told the whole truth, if the truth at all. Um, there's it's a low likelihood that a 30-06 could hit somebody in the neck at range and not cause a significant amount of damage. Let alone them say that the um, what do they call him? Superman neck, right? Like he could like. All right, we're getting crazy now. Like, this is what I mean about like the official narratives and stuff. Like they literally said he had a Superman neck, that a 30-06 hit him, didn't break the bone in his neck, and went somewhere else. And I will also say that Erica Kirk is acting very strangely. There's a lot of weird things that don't quite make sense. So again, this is exactly what I mean about not being able to trust the authoritative sources that are supposed to investigate and give you the official story, because this is what happens. People will come up with their own conclusions because they know they can't trust the one coming from the government. That's what this boils down to. Regardless of how you see anything about this, the entire thing revolves around we can't trust the official story. So people look at it, build their own evidence, and create their own stories, no matter how viable or unviable you think that they may be. Um, eh, I have to ask you, Dina, because I kind of know, like some of your past. Is what I'm saying makes sense as far as the official narrative not being able to be believed? Or because there are people out there that just absorb it and think that it's truth no matter what's said on TV. So, like, I'm just very curious to see, do you understand what I'm saying about that? There's not been a narrative that I know of that has been official, that comes from a government, that has been true yet. Like, do you believe what
I,
they're saying
I
about
totally
either?
agree. Yeah, there hasn't been a narrative that, I mean, even after the shooting, remember there were all those hearings and I don't even know what all, and director, and I can't remember her name, was fired, and all kind of other people were supposed to get fired, and this and that. I mean, I tried to follow it. Did any of that ever happen? Like, we never really got any answers. And even if we got answers, why would we believe the answers? You know, I don't think the government has proven itself to not be reliable, and so people are going to come up with their own theories, and nobody really knows for sure, what happened.
100%. Um, this is how we get madness from the Epstein files. So, I mean, I don't want to go too long because we're coming up just past the hour. First, I should say, Drew, do you want to get anything in? Do you have any questions or anything like that?
No, I mean, no, not at this point. I'm pretty much just absorbing, what they're saying, and what you're asking them. And I, I feel the same. I feel the same in a lot of senses about, you can't believe these official stories when something seems like this could be accurate, and then you'll find a trace of inaccuracy. So now that compromises the entirety of the subject, and you're kind of at a loss for, like, you got to fall back on your common sense and have a keen eye for the trickery. And there's so many different ways to look at it, and yeah, that's just my thoughts on what they had to say about it.
All right. I guess I would like to try to conclude with something that wasn't so crazy. But um, I need to ask because we're sort of on the subject. When it comes to the Jeffrey Epstein files, do you guys think that they're telling the truth about this? Because here's my perspective: is that we're in the same boat. There's an official narrative that took a congressional uh, power to make them push this out. And there's obvious lies that are in some of these files, like almost like that they were planted. And I think there's a lot of truth in them as well. Have you guys looked into the Epstein files, and do you think that what we're getting is a psyop through the Epstein files? Mike, I got to ask you first because you're sort of plugged into the Q thing. I want to know how the Q people look at the Epstein files.
Uh, I don't think we're getting the truth until about the Epstein files until the military tells us, because until we start seeing stuff about sacrificing kids and the rituals they were doing, then I feel like it's all a distraction. I haven't seen nothing. I haven't seen no sick shit about anybody really.
Okay. Uh, this I have to try and figure out how do you guys see this play out? Like honestly, Mike, when it comes to the people that follow Q, the Anons, how do you guys? I mean, because you're referring to the military. When you have this played out in your head and how you think it may or may not go, I am extremely curious to see how you and maybe anybody that is Q leaning, Q curious, how you guys see this ending. So like, there's going to be a military general that comes on television and says what? How does that go? I don't
I
know how that's
believe,
supposed to end.
I believe that we're gonna see attacks in this country, and Trump's gonna lock us all down on martial law, and and maybe like the power grid gets taken out. I keep hearing, and whenever the power grid gets taken out, Elon will turn it back on with Starlink, and that's when the military comes on. That's how I have it in my head.
Starlink right now, so there's that.
Yeah, like our power grid's gonna get taken out because it's like 70 years old or whatever, and I believe Elon's been shooting up thousands of Starlinks for this reason.
So I work for the power company, and I'm telling you that the power grid is extremely fragile, and that it won't take much to knock down the power grid. You could drive a car into the right spot, and it will go down. There's no on switch that brings it right back on either. Like you don't just, it's not like something happens and you just repair it and it comes back on. When it's widespread, it would take months at a minimum. So like if the right spot was hit the right way, it would take months to turn it back on. And it can also be a chain reaction. Like what will happen is a certain, I don't even want to get into specific because I don't want to give anybody ideas, but if a certain spot was hit, that is a chain reaction that goes up the line to a certain extent. And because it's so old, you don't really know how bad that failure would be. So while I am not a subscriber to Q or a Q enjoyer, uh, I there is truth in that. There's truth in the fact that like it won't take much. It really won't. I'm a constant advocate for constantly saying have a backup plan, have a generator. We have two Starlinks, one at this property and one at another property, because in the disaster zones, they're the only way that they had communications for police or anybody was because there was a Starlink given to them. So just for whatever it's worth, whether however you see what Mike is saying, that there is a lot of truth in that. Like that you really should have a backup plan because I'm telling you that this it's fragile. Um, I don't know. I guess I don't know. I don't. It's so strange for me. I'd love to be able to just sit Mike down and really get the whole play by play here because I don't know anything about this Q thing and I don't know how it's all supposed to work out. If like we shut down the grid and then turn it back on from Elon or something, it's I don't know how that actually works. I don't know how that actually works.
I feel like it.
Dina,
I feel like it's been happening a lot. Like in Iran, the power just went out, and then Elon gave them free internet and all that. So he's been testing it around countries.
actually
America,
really is pretty good. It's a pretty good. I've been surprised. I'll tell you that. Like it's worth a couple bucks to do it. I mean, we we used an old fiber that was less. The Starlink is better. Like I would get
Mm.
when you use a fiber, if there's a bunch of people that are on it in your neighborhood, it kind of drops the bandwidth, like regardless if it's a hard line or not. And when you're like 8 o'clock at night and everybody's at home doing their thing, it's not quite as good as you might think that it is. Starlink to this point has been way better than that. So for whatever it's worth, if anyone's interested, it's a very good backup plan because as long as you can generate power and you have a Starlink, no matter how small the generation of power is, you can have communications for whatever it's worth. Um, um, there is a lot of stuff. I don't want to take. We're coming up on about an hour and a half. Dina, is there anything that you would like to close with before we get out of here?
Concerning the Trump rally,
Anything at all?
can I say why I'm wearing this shirt?
Absolutely. You say whatever you want.
I was going to ask you too, Dean.
Okay.
Justice for Amy. I'm like, what? We'll touch
I
on
didn't
that
know
later.
it was appropriate. So, okay, so Amy Lynn Bradley, she disappeared off a Royal Caribbean cruise line in 1998. Just 6, 8 months ago, there was oh, you have it on there. Thank you. They had a Netflix series. It was in the top 10 for quite some time. Amy Bradley is missing. Also, she was on the cover, her story of People magazine. I have it in the background here in September of last year. And her case is not a cold case. There are living witnesses, there is credible evidence pointing to that she may have been abducted and trafficked. And we know President Trump and his family have shown a willingness, many times to step in when American families are in crisis. And the Bradley family is asking for the opportunity to have Amy's case reach the president because everybody knows if the case was to reach the president, he would, assign the necessary federal resources. So if you want to follow Amy's brother on X at Brad Rad, it's Brad Rad 5 Bradley. It's on that card. Watch the Netflix series Amy Bradley is missing. Also, there's a website for tips. Amy Bradley is missing at gmail.com for any tips. And if you would, are interested, if you would notify your representatives and senators and ask them to fight for Amy. Um, you know, her and her family have gone through enough. So, I have this People magazine in the background here where she,
Yeah, I see that.
yeah, okay.
I was looking at that as you were talking, man. It's just,
I wanted to wear this shirt. Just wanted to, give a shout out that the family, has suffered enough since 1998.
yeah, yeah.
I
Quite.
had never heard of this prior to this. Drew, have you?
No, I mean, in 1998, I was 18 years old. I wasn't really watching the news. I was out in the street. I wasn't really paying too much attention to anything. And it's sad to say that this isn't even an isolated case. Like so many people, young children, boys, girls from our country, other countries, on a daily basis are being abducted or trafficked. It's a disgusting epidemic. And I mean, the people who are in control of this, even though we know they're bad guys, gangs or cartels or third world country or whatever. There's a lot of powerful, upstanding elitists who maybe know more about it than they want to acknowledge, or all kinds of just nefarious craziness that's going on behind the scenes. And it's very, very sad that this is allowed to happen. And it's like we're in such a godless world, but trying to keep God and spirituality alive, that there's something better and beyond. It's a spiritual war, and this is one of the worst casualties of it. Are when you hear stuff like this, women, children, people being taken from their families, and God knows what's going on with them. And yeah, no, it's sad. I've never heard of it before, but I took a snapshot when Stack blew it up on the screen.
Okay.
So I have it saved on my
I'll do it
computer.
one more time.
Watch
Yeah.
the Netflix series, everyone, please.
Do you know their belief that like she's still alive somewhere? Is that? I mean, obviously that's what this is about, right? Because I
Oh,
mean, you said this
yes.
was in '98.
Well, there has been many sightings. You can look into it. Many sightings. In the Netflix series, they talk about the Navy gentleman who went to a brothel, and Amy approached him and begged for help. And she identified herself, her name, where she's from, but he, being in the military, was not allowed to be in the brothel, and so he did not report this till years later. There's another credible sighting where a woman, met, actually saw Amy in the bathroom in a department store with her alleged handlers, and she, said who she was. There's been, I mean, multiple. You can, do some research. There's been multiple people over the years who have seen her, and she's identified herself, and it's such a sad story.
I mean, it sounds really crazy, and just not to. I always harp on this. It sounds just like a government official, right? Like it just sounds like that's what they would do, right? Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry you're being trafficked and you're being held against your will, but I'm with the government and no one gave me an order to do it. I don't have the correct paperwork, so you're on your own. Like it just sounds so like that's what would happen.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that this helps. I'll put it up on the screen one more time. I hope that this helps because I had never heard about it before. So if anybody knows anything, if anybody can help with anything, there's
I
some
mean, somebody
information right
knows.
there.
There are people out there that know something. Yeah.
And Dina, what exactly? Because I'm seeing the photo here, missing since 1998.
Mhm.
So how do you know, before I go and like do my own research, how old was she when she was abducted, or how old she's supposed to be now?
I want to say 22. I don't want to misspeak, but she would be in her 50s now, I believe.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I'm not
Dina,
doing.
is there?
I'm not good at doing math on the
Yeah.
spot, but yeah,
Yeah, she'd be about 48 to between 48 and 50 if she was in fact 22 at the time.
sure.
Okay.
And there's been multiple people who have done podcasts with her brother. I mean, he's done many podcasts. He's on X, and he has thousands and thousands of followers. And
And I mean, again, I know the information's out there, but just because we're talking about it, she was on a cruise by herself, or she was with her
no,
family,
she
her
was
brother,
with her family, her mom, dad, and her brother, Royal Caribbean Cruise.
and she went missing. She went missing towards the end of the cruise, or in the
As in, they were getting ready to dock in
disembark. I mean, back
Carousel,
on.
Carousel, I believe it's called. What's it called? Disembark?
Well, disembarks when the ship is going to leave shore. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So
That's
I
why I
meant
don't want to say it
disembark.
wrong. They were getting ready to come into the next port when she went missing. I mean, there's lots of credible witnesses who, have stated they've seen her with a particular person. These people have, these witnesses have testified, I believe, before a grand jury in Virginia. Um, they just can't get the answers they need.
It makes you not want to take your family anywhere. It's terrifying.
It
Yeah,
is
I
terrible.
mean, I concur. Don't be thinking that you're safe anywhere.
Yep.
Um, okay, Mike. Uh, you want to plug anything before we leave? Is there anything you'd like to add? Maybe your socials or something like that?
Yeah, you can follow me on X. I'm trying to get monetized right now, so I'm getting pretty close. It's XRP Dad at MikeVic89. But like Drew said, this is a spiritual warfare, so don't get emotionally attached to anybody but God, because that's the only person that can help us at this point. And that's about it.
Okay. Um, there may be at some point in the future where I get you to come on and really try to break down this Q thing because if I'm being honest, I don't know that I believe any of it, and it just seems a little convoluted. But I am still interested in hearing it. So I mean, that would be funny at the least. Um, all right. Well, thank you guys for coming on. It was fun. This was just another one of those perspectives. Is were you there? Did you see it? Was Trump a part of it? I guess we'll never really know because the information comes from the government. All right, you guys have a good night. That was the shit show. We'll see you later.